What's up, what's up? Real MVPs, Ricky Widmer here, and welcome into another edition of MVP Sports Live right here on it's YouTube. You're watching us either live on YouTube or you're watching us on YouTube after the fact. Thank this man to my right for that. I am joined, as I always am, with my beautiful co-host, Jake Neverman.
How we doing?
Or as some of the people in the Discord are calling you, JP. So which is it, JP or Jake?
I'll answer to either.
I'm assuming your middle name starts with a P. I'm not going to dox your middle name, but that's the only assumption. Oh, okay.
It's Patrick. I was born in the month of March in a Catholic family.
I was going to say it's a very Irish middle name.
I was born in a Catholic family in March. My middle name's Patrick. It'll be all right.
JPN.
Yeah.
See, JPN.
Japan.
That's right. Japan. I was going to say
my brother got his second car.
Thing.
My brother got his second car, and I looked at his license plate in the back of it. It said JPN, and I was like, I'm always with you.
Mine was always REW. I was the guy who was like, you know what? This is when I was in like 7th grade. I'm like, I'm gonna be a DJ when I'm older, and I'm gonna be called DJ Rewind because of my initials.
Good Lord.
Get it? Because DJ
Do the
Rewind.
Do the housekeeping.
But we have a jam-packed show for you. All NBA. It's mostly NBA. So how the whole week is going to go is NBA because of the playoffs. And then Friday, Jake and I are going to talk football because it's the off season. There's some things that some speculations we can get to. Plus, it's like, I want to go back to my bread and butter a little bit. Football, like we are, less than 3 months away from actual football games being played. Will Aaron Rodgers play? Who knows? But we're talking NBA today, talking about some of the playoff action that went on over the weekend because the other ones are playing tonight. Sixers are going to start anytime now, Jake? Have they already started?
No, it's a TNT game. Okay. It's supposed to say 7:30, so probably 7:45.
6:45 my time. So we'll talk about some of the playoff news. We got two things to talk about there. The namesake of the show is Luka Doncic. The rumors are that he is going to sign the Supermax, but is not willing to just be like, boom, I'm going to stay here long term. So we will dive into that also. Before we get into everything, though, make sure to check out the Discord, link down below, greatest community in the universe. That's where all of us and you guys can all talk about everything we love to watch in the world of sports. If you want to support us, you can do that in one of two ways. One, you can check out patreon.com/MVPvids. Boom, link down below. Or you can become a channel member. You can get rewards like exclusive Q&A content for the show. You can get content like mock drafts and our prospect videos. That my first one is dropping tomorrow on Io DeSumo on Patreon and
Soapy's mock draft is up there right now.
Yeah, you're right. Mock draft is up there. You can get it before Friday and see it before everyone else. Or you can become a platinum member or patron and be like Pat Hill and get his name. Thank you, Pat Hill, our Patreon sponsor. At the beginning of every single show. Go ahead and check that out right now. And also hit that sub button, that notification button, all of that. Comment down below. The algorithm loves that, and we love the algorithm because we do not want to piss off our YouTube algorithm lords. They are the ones that make sure our videos get seen by everyone. But Jake, let's start off with a little Brooklyn Nets talk. This is a series that I thought was going to go I thought it was going to go one of two ways. I was like, Nets in 7, Bucks in 7. Gonna hedge my bet on both of them. And then I was like, oh shit, it might be Nets in 4. Then it's like, oh shit, it might be Nets in 5. Now it might be Bucks in 6. All I'm hearing on the internet, Jake, is Bucks in 6. Bucks in 6. Harden's out for game 5. Kyrie is out for game 5. Are the Nets in trouble?
Let me just start out by saying, if it is Bucks in 6, we're going to be celebrating a title on Broad Street in Philly. So that's all I know at that point. The Nets are in huge trouble. It's already been Kyrie Irving and James Harden have both been ruled out for game 5. I mean, this is Kevin Durant's chance. Mm-hmm. This is him. This is, who am I? Kevin Durant. People saying he's the heir to the throne of LeBron James, the best player in the league. I tend to not agree with that.
Is it Kawhi? Wouldn't Kawhi be the heir?
I think it's James Harden.
No. I'm talking about like who is. When I say this, I'm not talking about GOAT debates or anything because that's Luka.
No, who's gonna be the best player in the league?
Okay, who's gonna be the number one? You think it's Harden, really? over
Yeah, I think
Kawhi. Okay.
Harden's been the best player in the league this year when he played. He just got
Okay.
hurt. Yeah, I think Steph's always going to be there. He's been there for years.
Hmm.
Kawhi, KD, but this is KD's chance. I mean, he has been talked about, and he is one of, if not the best scorers of all time.
Hmm.
His three-level scoring, unbelievable for a 7-footer. Yes, he's 7 feet tall. We know he is.
Yeah.
He's unbelievable. Blake Griffin has been huge for this team. They are in trouble, but it's not that it's unwinnable. Chris Middleton's been great for the Bucks since
Hmm.
about the second quarter of Game 2. He's been phenomenal, shooting over 40% from three, over 50% from the field. He's been great. It's just, can the Bucks make their shots? I mean, it sounds so simple, but literally in the first two games, all that mattered is the Bucks were not making their threes. They were
Hmm.
shooting 22%, I think, from three in the first two games.
Chris Middleton was a complete net negative.
Yeah, and now he's turned it around basically the last 2.5 games, and they've started to
Hmm.
shoot well. It's going to be interesting. I think the NBA could get the conference finals could be so interesting if the Bucks do end up winning this series, and we have Sixers Bucks and one of Suns Clippers or Suns Jazz.
Hmm.
So the league. I know most this. I said that these playoffs are kind of exposing the people who actually like basketball and who don't like basketball
Hmm.
because this is pure great basketball that's
Yeah.
playing. There's no Steph, there's no LeBron, there's no LA team besides the Clippers, but they're not the LA
There's
team
a
that we
little
talk
brother
about.
of LA.
It's the same thing with Brooklyn. They're the little
Yeah.
brother of New York, but this is pure basketball. The best teams are still left, and I
Hmm.
can't. This is one of my favorite playoffs in the last couple of years.
I mean, so for me, it's one of those where I agree with you. This is like if you're a real basketball fan, you're tuning in because, like you said, most of the big markets, most of the big names. I would love to see the numbers of like how many casuals are still watching basketball
Oh,
at this point. But like for me, where this series goes down is Game 5. Like I'm gonna say the obvious statement. Game 5 is crucial for the Brooklyn Nets. I don't think anyone needed me to say that, but I'm going to say it so it's on the record. Here's how I have just a weird feeling of how Game 5 is going to go down because obviously there's well, you need the others to step up. Can Joe Harris hit shots? Can Bruce Brown pick it up? Can Blake Griffin? Jake, this pissed me off. Although 3 of my other legs in this parlay broke, why the hell did Steve Nash just go, in the second half, I'm not going to play Blake Griffin at all? You know, he's been
yeah.
pretty good this series. He's got 5 rebounds, needs 7 for Ricky. Ricky's feeling really good at half. And then, he just doesn't play. And the announcers made sure to say, well, Blake Griffin hasn't really played this second half. And it's not due to injury. We need to tell you that.
How do you
Because
know that,
Kyrie
though?
went down.
I don't know if they know that though. How do they know it wasn't for injury?
I'm just saying the information that was relayed over
I
to
know.
me. Like this is something where I have a inkling, a feeling deep down in the
I
nether
got a
regions.
feeling. Can we talk about what a great song? What a great song! I got a feeling. Ooh. Sorry,
Tonight's gonna be. Well, I hope tonight's a good night. But going back to my point, I just have this weird feeling that Game 5 is going to be a fuck you KD game where
Yeah.
I feel like the series is in the Bucks' hands, but there's a part of me, and maybe this is me because I'm really hoping for a 7-game series.
Yeah.
Part of me feels like coming back to Brooklyn. Obviously the role players, no matter what team it is, play better at home compared to on the road. I feel like we're gonna get an FUKD game in Game 5, and then maybe the Bucks win in 6, and then the best team, the team that's not injured, wins in 7.
Well, 2 points I want to make is one, even with a Kevin Durant fuck you game, they need the other guys to step up
Yeah.
to win the game against the Bucks. This
Yeah.
game comes down to the Bucks. If the Bucks make their shots, they did all regular season.
Who's more important though, Bruce Brown or Joe Harris?
Joe Harris. I think
Okay.
Joe Harris he sets the tone for their offense incredibly, and he is the guy who, if you need another guy to get 20 to 25 points, it's Joe Harris on this team. The thing that I guess worries me. Sorry, the other point I want to make was that I find it hilarious that all season we were talking about the Nets not healthy, but they still had a chance to get a 1 seed, and the reason they're in the predicament they are in is because of their own
chase
fault.
the 1 seed.
They didn't chase the 1 seed. People were like saying that, the Sixers are getting an easy ride to the Eastern Conference Finals. I'm like, yeah, it's what the 1 seed gets because they don't have to play the 2 or the 3 seed. They play the 4 seed or the 5 seed in the second round. That's why you fight for the 1 seed all year. It's why it does matter to a degree. Obviously, we look at a team like Phoenix, and sometimes you get lucky dealing with teams that are both missing their second best players. Phoenix has played incredible, but the Nets are in serious trouble, but it's not that I'm going to count them out of this series, simply for the fact that they have Kevin Durant. If they can somehow will their way into a Game 5 win, or even lose Game 5 and get one of Harden or Kyrie back for Game 6, then they have a chance. So I'm not completely writing off this, but the series is completely in the Bucks' hands. This is time. The Bucks have been
Mm-hmm.
crucified for second round exits
Yep.
because Bud doesn't make. This is their chance. There's no
Mm-hmm.
excuses. There's no Kyrie Irving. There's no James Harden. You have to go out and win Game 5.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that I like when you talk about chasing the one seed, the only reason why I don't crucify the Nets for not chasing the one seed is because, I mean, it all comes down to they probably had the mindset of like, okay, we're all going to get healthy. James Harden's coming back. We'll be healthy for the playoffs. And no one's going to get injured in the playoffs. And that's how we're going to treat it. Like, you couldn't play it like oh, we need the one seed because we need that easy matchup because holy shit, Kyrie or Harden could go down. And they were just probably thinking, hey, we're going to be healthy. And now they're in the predicament that they're in because, Harden's down, Kyrie's down. Like you said, it's all in the Bucks' hands. What do we see from the Bucks and what do we see from the Nets game 5? Game 5 will tell us what type of a series
Yeah.
this ends up being. I think, and this is whether or not Harden or Kyrie can come back for a game 7 changes things. But if Kyrie or Harden or both are out for the remainder of the series, Jake, let's say it's just KD all the way through. If the Bucks win game 5, it ends in 6. If the Bucks lose game 5, it ends in 7 with a Buck win either way. If Harden or Kyrie can come back, that's the only way in my mind the Nets win this series.
Yeah, I think I'm leaning towards Bucks in 7 regardless.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure even if Kyrie or Harden come back how well they're going to be able to play because
Mm-hmm.
one, Harden with a hamstring can flare up at any time. Hamstrings
Yeah.
are just annoying injuries. It sucks because there's nothing else they could do. They cleared him to play. It
Mm-hmm.
aggravated it 30 seconds into game 1 or whatever it was. But yeah, that sucks. Kyrie Irving, the ankle. I mean, it was a terrible sprain. The way his ankle bent, that's basically as bad as it go. And also, I need to address that. People were saying it was a dirty play by Giannis. It simply wasn't. He was
Mm-hmm.
standing on the basket. It wasn't a Zaza moment where Zaza literally jumped out and put his leg under the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like Giannis contested the shot and then was looking up for the rebound, and
Yeah.
Kyrie
I mean,
nipped his out of his shoe.
did you?
Like it,
I don't know if you just mentioned it because I was reading what Retro put that I'll read in a second in a YouTube chat. Did you see the thing on Twitter that's been going around where it's like being a skilled player is so many different things, and it's a clip of what happened with Giannis, and then it's a clip of Kyrie doing the same thing where he went to block a shot from Reggie Jackson, but before Reggie fell, he moved his foot so that Reggie wouldn't have fell on his foot and then
yeah.
twisted
I
his
mean,
ankle.
while you could say that maybe Giannis should be more mindful, it's not a dirty play per se.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. I don't think he didn't do it on purpose. If he did it on purpose, he would have put his leg over farther. He Kyrie
Yeah,
nipped the side of his ankle. I mean,
yeah.
we can talk about what ifs all day, but genuinely, this series comes down to the Bucks making their
Mm-hmm.
shots, and it's as simple
Yeah.
as that. Again, join our Discord down below. I
Mm-hmm.
was going off in the beginning of Game 4 before Kyrie hurt, and I was like, this Bucks team has completely lost its identity to what they were in the regular season. I put a stat in there a couple days ago that the Bucks were averaging the least amount of passes per possession since advanced stats were taken in NBA history. They're averaging 2.07 passes per possession.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was less than James Harden Rockets in
Yeah.
2019, 2020. So that they
On,
need
on the other hand, you've got CP3 in the West having like
yeah,
33 assists per 3 turnovers.
and I yeah, literally
Alone, one
but
person.
the Bucks and literally I put that in the Discord, and 2
Mm-hmm.
minutes later the Bucks started moving the ball and getting open shots and knocking him down.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to playing consistent and not trying to play hero ball. Giannis should not
Yeah.
be shooting threes. He should not be taking pull-up jumpers,
Mm-hmm.
and they should be moving the ball. And really, honestly, I think when their offense was the best is when he was used as a post facilitator because
Yeah.
you either have to double him or you can post somebody up and go to the rim.
Mm-hmm.
It's as simple as that. Their offense shouldn't be this hard. Ball movement, continuous off-ball movement, and just getting open shots and then knocking them down. It sounds so like simple, but that's all it is for the Bucks. They need to not
Mm-hmm.
overcomplicate things, play their game, and they can easily win this series, obviously in 6 or 7, regardless of who comes back or not.
2 things from YouTube chat I want to read. One, Retro says, to me, that means they, talking about the Nets, should have gone for the 1 seed to give them the best chance. If they are healthy and versus the worst team, that's their best chance. The only counter I have for that is and this is the other variable into it of, do we chase the 1 seed, risking potential further injury for a guy like James Harden coming back, or do we just rest him for the playoffs? I understand what they did. It just hasn't worked out because,
hindsight's 2020.
Two of the guys gotten injured. Also, to go after what we were talking about with the casual and this being like pure basketball, Lex says all the teams left are championship-less or haven't won in 40 years or something like that. So, I mean...
Here they come.
I mean, see, shit like that I like. Like, this is the year where finally, for all those people that were like, the casual should be watching. You want to know why, Jake? And I'm gonna go on a rant here before we get to the Suns. Of people who are casuals who are not watching, you're a fucking hypocrite. Because for the longest time I've heard, the NBA is so boring. It's just LeBron and the Lakers every year. LeBron. Well, guess what? LeBron's not in it this year. You're actually going to have teams that haven't won a championship ever, or haven't won in my entire lifetime, in your entire lifetime. Now you finally get what you want and you're not going to watch because LeBron's not there, because the Warriors aren't there, because the big markets aren't there. So, like, I know I'm preaching to, like, maybe a small percentage of people, but for all the people that bitch that, the NBA is the same thing over and over, this is your year to be like, yes, it is everything I've wanted for the last decade.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That came out of nowhere. That came out of nowhere. But
I completely agree.
My question about the Suns: they sweep the Nuggets last night. We're going to get into Jokic in a hot second. Don't think we're going to overlook that. But the question I want to ask with the Suns is: can the Suns win the West? I know they're the 2 seed, but basically, no matter if it's the Clippers or the Jazz, are the Suns the team to beat? Do they have the most momentum in the Western Conference?
I said on our playoff preview show that if the Suns, if I picked the Lakers to go to the finals, obviously Anthony Davis going down completely ruined that. Mm-hmm. If I would have, I said I think the winner of this series wins the West.
Yeah.
So the Suns are the team I'm probably going to roll with. The Jazz can easily win it. The Clippers can easily win it. The problem is that I can't get a damn read on the Clippers. And Retro, in YouTube chat, our resident Clippers fan, I was talking to him about it. The Clippers could go out and win the next 3 games and win the series. I could see them going and losing the next 2 games and losing the series. Yeah. I could see them splitting and going to set. I genuinely cannot get a read on them. I said it in our Discord. I think prior to Kevin Durant and not Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving and James Harden going down, I think the only team in the West that offense that can keep up with the Nets is the Jazz, simply because of the consistent open looks that they get. I know we're going to point to the Nuggets, the Suns, about them being the team to beat and all that. While I think the Suns have been tremendous, and yes, Chris Paul deserves
Retro just hit you with a smiley face, like he doesn't know either.
Chris Paul has been tremendous, and it's awesome. And I've said it all along, if the Sixers can't get a ring, I hope Chris Paul does. The problem that I have reading them is that the 2 series they've played, and it's not to their fault, they've been phenomenal, and they've taken care of business, is they had played teams that were weakened, that didn't have their second best player in each of the series. So, while I want to credit them and how great they've played, and it is amazing, I need to take a step back and be like, I don't know who the favorite is, because honestly, I have no read on the Clippers. The Jazz are tremendous and consistent offensively and defensively, and then they have Donovan Mitchell, who is just one of the clutchest players. And
he's averaging 5 made threes this entire season. Like, he's putting up Dame Lillard numbers.
Yeah, and then the Suns, I mean, Chris Paul is Chris Paul, and I love Monty Williams and Chris Paul. Again, be an amazing story if they get a ring, and Chris Paul would be the 3rd greatest point guard of all time if he gets a ring. So
that's the whole thing of, like, I know that me in the West, I'm a little biased. I've got money on the Clippers, so of course I want them to get to the finals. I want them and the Sixers to get there, so I don't have to worry about who wins. Although, Jake, sorry, Retro, my allegiance falls with you. Clap your hands, everybody, because here we come.
Here they come.
The 76ers. But, I mean, when it comes to the Suns, like, if the Clippers or the Sixers aren't winning it, the Suns are just they are the perfect Ricky team right now. They've got all the fucking narratives in the world. What? I can't hear you. What?
Furkan Korkmaz is starting the night, baby.
Okay. Sorry. Furkman Korkman. That's what I wanted. Sorry. I was like, all right, sorry. Carry on.
The Suns are the perfect Ricky team. It's got all the perfect narratives. Chris Paul finally healthy. playing very well in a playoff run. Monty Williams should have been coach of the year. He's coaching a team, going to coach them to the finals. You've got Devin Booker that everyone has doubted year after year after year after year, who
Empty
is
stat lines,
finally
Ricky.
playing up. And,
Empty stat lines.
I mean, empty stat lines. So the thing that I love about Devin Booker being this good in the playoffs is me going, yeah, guess who everyone compared him to? Guess who he's just like, Jake? Because they're both the same. Zach LaVine. I mean, Zach's going to do the same thing when we get a team
Yeah, when
there.
he's in Philly.
Zach is
Yeah,
going to
when he
do the
gets to
same
Philly.
thing when we get a team there.
In Philly.
But I mean, if the Clippers lose or if the Sixers lose, the Suns are going to be the team I'm riding with for the storyline alone.
I agree.
They are
I
the
agree.
Disney story that if they win it all, a movie. Like, think about this, too. Like, I know Laker fans are going to say, well, 80 got injured. If 80 didn't get injured, the series is different.
No,
but
they're right. I agree.
think about this from the anxiety of a Suns fan. The one team you do not want to see in the playoffs is the Lakers, because your entire history is the Lakers shooting you down. They shoot you down. Boom, you're done. Boom, you're done.
You're done.
Like,
You're dead. You're dead.
The Suns almost remind me of that 2015 Cubs. I hope, like, there's a part of me that
1
hopes it
year
doesn't
away?
end like that. No, not that. Just no one expected you to be this good. Then with the Cubs, you won a wild card game, but then you play the Cardinals, and everyone's like, oh, well, the Cardinals are your big brother. They're always going to beat you, and you beat the Cardinals. Just like the Suns, they beat the Lakers. It's like, holy shit, we beat who we didn't expect to beat. Now I know the Cubs, then there was one series we got swept by the Mets. I'm not saying the Suns get swept in any way, but like this Suns team, it would be great if they won it all. Now the thing is, and I want to throw this to you, Jake Ramirez, Jake, not you, but in
Not me.
YouTube chat,
Other
says
Jake.
the Jazz are the 2014 Spurs. That was one comment. And then the other one was Moss95 says, Suns have a chance, but Utah going to the finals.
I see. Genuinely, this is what's going to be so great. If the Bucks do win and the Sixers win, let's say that. So we have Sixers, Bucks, and either the Clippers or the Jazz win. You could pick any of the four teams, and I could be like, yeah, they could win the title. When was the last time we had that? Where the four teams that were left,
Didn't have
it
a
was
final?
actually a competition to who could actually win. Because it was like, yeah, we know Golden State when they're healthy, he's going to the finals. We know LeBron in the East, he's going to the finals. Like, now, like, if you put Embiid versus Giannis, if you put Donovan Mitchell versus Devin Booker and Chris Paul, or Kawhi and Kawhi, you just don't know. And that's such a good year for basketball. And I hate that people are like making memes and jokes about small markets succeeding, because we sit here and bitch and moan that the league doesn't care about small markets, and now small markets are thriving and people are complaining. So
exactly
you wonder why the league doesn't care about
That's
it.
exactly what I ranted about. Also, the one thing from YouTube chat that I want to clarify when Eric says Suns are not the Cubs of basketball, stop. I'm not saying the Suns are the Cubs of basketball. I'm comparing one playoff run to another playoff run. It's not an 100% match. There's only one team. There's only one team in all of sports that can be compared to the Cubs, and that's the Toronto Maple Leafs. That's it.
Well, I mean, at least the Cubs have won a title, because the Suns never have.
No,
so.
I know, but like the Toronto Maple Leafs are probably like, it was the Cubs and then the Maple Leafs when we're talking curses. But no, I'm not saying the Suns are the Cubs of basketball. I'm just comparing playoff runs.
I didn't even think about Chris Paul versus the Clippers.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about
And
that.
then if the
Doc versus Chris Paul. Oh
But-
my! And Ben Simmons versus Devin Booker. Did Kendall choose right, Ricky?
but also the Nets. If we get a Nets Suns finals, I know you don't want that, but just think about this. It'll be Chris Paul versus his entire past. DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, James Harden. They're all over there. Chris Paul's by himself. Like, not by himself, but you know what I mean? Like I didn't join the evil empire. It's almost like Luke against the Empire. I'm like, hey, we're going. Like that's what it reminds me of. Everyone's joining the dark side, not Chris Paul,
Turn
baby.
this into a Star Wars meme.
Not Chris Paul. He ain't joining no dark side. Like I would love these storylines. One thing we do have to talk about before we get into the main topic of the show is how could our MVP Jake be so stupid? I'm going to call it stupidity because
Wait,
it was stupidity out of
Ricky,
frustration. Not our
did
MVP. You're right.
yeah,
Not
I
our
was gonna
MVP.
say he's not
Joel
my
Embiid would
MVP.
never do that, Jake.
Where's Embiid? Embiid's still playing.
But
Embiid's playing on a torn
but
meniscus, averaging 39 a game in this series. I
But
mean, that's my
Jokic
MVP.
last night, frustrated over a call, thwaps campaign in the face. Then almost gets into a fight with Devin Booker, where it looked like Devin Booker was like, I'm going to defend my teammate. I want none of this smoke. He will actually kill me. Gets tossed from the game. I call it stupidity, Jake, because that's all I can say for it. You are the number one on a team. You need to have more composure to know I can't do that. My team absolutely needs me, because I know some people will say, oh, the Nuggets stayed in the game. They weren't going to win that game when Jokic got tossed. They weren't going to win.
Not even that. Like, the fact that your team's down 3-0 and you did that, it just shows that you gave up. He said he was trying to make a hard foul and change the game. No, you gave up on your team. That's simply what that was. It's sad to see, but honestly, it's a maturing moment for him, and hopefully he learns from it. And honestly, like, players grow and players become better people. Like, speaking of Embiid, like, we've seen Embiid. You remember how childish he used to be, and he wasn't a leader and all that. And we've seen that completely change over the last year. So hopefully this is what turns Jokic into that. Hopefully they get Jamal Murray back healthy, and they'll be right back to being contenders next year.
So I'm gonna ask a dumb question.
Yeah.
Is Jamal Murray the real leader of this Denver team? The
No,
real leader and composure on the court?
No. Because no, I think it's Jokic. So Jokic won them a playoff series. They were never going to get past the second round without Murray anyways. It's just how it is.
Did he win him a playoff series, or did CJ McCollum win him a playoff series?
Jokic numbers were absurd in the first round.
Stepped out of bounds.
Jokic numbers were absurd.
Would have won that game. Would have won that game if CJ.
You're playing in the worlds of what ifs. I'm playing in the world of reality.
I'm telling you. I know there are two constants. One, CJ doesn't step out of bounds. The Blazers would have won that game, and Game 7 would have been Dame time. Those are the two things I know. But I mean,
did we make a layup, boys? Sorry, we just missed 3 layups to start the game.
Talking about the Sixers.
We missed 3 layups to start the game. Nice going, Sixers. Sorry.
But I mean, anything else with the, like, this is just, it is what it is. Like, Jokic, it was a boneheaded move, and it's just I don't think it what happened? You jump back like there was an injury.
Ben Simmons just dunked all over somebody. Okay. I don't know who that was, but
with this incident with Jokic, last thing I will ask is, do we forget about this next season, or is this something that's going to be brought up every time now the Nuggets are in the playoffs?
I think we'll quickly forget about it. The only thing I'll say is that I think he learns and grows from it, and that's why we're going to forget about it, because he's going to be an all-time great player. He's going to be an all-time great center. He's going to be probably one of, if not the best, second-round picks of all time. So I think he'll learn from it and become better.
Well, Jake, the main thing we're getting into today is a little Luka Doncic talk, a little Dallas Mavericks talk, because, Jake, this was put out today by Bleacher Report on Twitter, says, while Luka Doncic intends to sign a super max extension with the Mavericks this summer, dysfunction in the front office and the team's inability to build a contender could impact his current desire to stay with Dallas long term. This is coming per Tim Cato and Sam Amick. So, Jake, the whole thing with this is, right now after this year, Luka does qualify to sign a rookie extension, which would be the Supermax, a 5-year extension onto his contract. If he didn't do that, let's just say he didn't, he would have 1 year, then he would become an RFA. But he's probably going to sign it. Everyone's saying he's going to sign it this summer.
He said he's going to sign it.
Yeah, he's going to take his bag. Yeah. If you were Luka Doncic, then how much? I'm not asking the question of will he want out. It's how much leeway do you give the Mavericks, knowing the situation the team is in and how handcuffed they may already be to make moves in order to help you win in Dallas?
I think it's mostly the same with any guy who signs their second contract. It's going to be a 5-year deal. You give him 3 years. After that, if you're still not competing, at that point, you probably ask for a trade. It maybe, or maybe even not. I mean, it's so what is what I'm looking for? It's so different in every single
Hmm.
instance that we have this. That Dallas has proven they can build a winner in time. Obviously, they haven't won recently. Still think Rick Carlisle is a great coach. I know people want to call for his head and get him fired, but I don't think he's the reason they lost that series. I think the
Hmm.
roster simply isn't good enough,
Yeah.
and I think the front office trading Seth Curry for Josh Richardson. I'm sorry, it's still glaring that they missed somebody like Seth Curry in that series who could actually. Tim Hardaway played great, and so did Dorian Finney-Smith. Jalen Brunson was all right, but just having that secondary playmaker, it's like Seth Curry's not a great playmaker,
Hmm.
but as a second or third option as a playmaker, he can do it now, which is something we've seen him grow into this year and something that Dallas could have used. Luka's going to sign the 5 year extension. He's going to be there for at least 3, 4 more years. If you're still like bad, like losing in the first round, then I can understand it.
Hmm.
But if you're making it to the second round, Western Conference Finals, it just all depends on how the series go and how the roster is being built. And really, this offseason is going to tell a lot because what
Hmm.
direction are they going to go in? Is Porzingis going to still be on the roster? Are they going to pay Tim Hardaway Jr. a bunch of money? Which, in my mind, I love Tim Hardaway Jr. I think he's going to get vastly overpaid this summer.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be something I'd be willing to do. And are you going to get off contracts like Dwight Powell and stuff like that to try to
Hmm.
free up cap to go after a big free agent next year when there's a lot of could be a lot of big names available
Hmm.
next year. So are you going to free up the cap to try to go after somebody then, or are you going to continue building around Porzingis and Luka, which I think we all can agree doesn't work?
Yeah, and I mean, the thing that I would be obviously the thing that shocked me most from the tweet was dysfunction in the front office, and they put quotes around dysfunction to where I look at that and I go, does that mean there's like worry with Mark Cuban? Or is that
Yeah.
just solely on like the GM and stuff?
Uh, I don't know. Did you
Because
read the
like
article? Did you read the article that said like
I don't have
look?
that. You have access to the Athletic. I don't. I get the
Yeah, I
tweets.
read an article that said that Luka was like upset with like their mystery GM or something like that.
Hmm.
Cuban brought in like a gambling expert or whatever to
Hmm.
help him with, I guess, analytics. I don't know.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't know. But apparently Luka's upset with that. Do I really buy that? No. I think this report in general is grabbing. I
Hmm.
don't know how much validity there is to it, and maybe they didn't. I don't even know, honestly. I don't know how to read it. I'm not quite sure I
Hmm.
believe it to the fullest extent. So I'm not until I hear from Luka or the team.
Lex says they mentioned a specific dude he had beef with.
Yeah, it's the gambling guy. I don't remember his name. He just was like a
Hmm.
in disguise GM for the
Yeah.
team that Cuban brought in. I think Cuban was buddies with him. So
Hmm.
I don't know. It's gonna be interesting the next couple of years. They do need to start building correctly, and they clearly haven't with the current roster they have.
Hmm.
So I think that's going to be a big part of, and I think this was any situation. I think we had a long talk in this when in Discord. Shout out to Tim
Hmm.
and JD because they were when we were talking about it. But we talked about small markets not being able to retain stars. Dallas is not a small market. First off, that's not what I'm getting at. What I am saying is that
Hmm.
a lot of time when teams lose stars, it's because they lack the ability to build a contending team
I
consistently.
mean, I'll throw out look at Milwaukee. We all
Yeah,
thought, and I was one. I said it on the fast break when we talked about it. Giannis is. I said, hey Bucks fans, Milwaukee Nation, get used to Giannis right now because he's going to be wearing a different jersey in a couple of years. Now in my mind, I was like, did the Bucks do enough to sway him, or was he just like, I'm gonna be loyal to this city? And Giannis may be the only one ever that's loyal to a city that hasn't won him anything yet. But like when he signed, it kind of sent everyone through a, oh shit, like it can
well,
happen. But it's just like, especially for the Mavericks, like you said, last 2 years. So Luca's first year, they didn't make the playoffs. Now the last two, the Mickey Moss year and this year, they get bounced in the first round. If they, let's say he signs this and then two more first round exits, depending on who they played, probably doesn't help that the last two were to the same exact team. That, yes,
well,
you got one more game on, but you still lost.
Speaking of Giannis, is I think this team went all in with the idea they were going to sign Giannis this offseason if
Yeah.
he didn't sign the
Well,
extension from Milwaukee. And
did
there was a
you?
report that literally came out that said executives were
Yeah, I
scared
was going
that
to say
Giannis
that.
was going to go
Hmm.
to Dallas and sign with Luka. Which I mean, I get why they did it. And I think honestly it was worth the risk. I,
Hmm.
I genuinely do. I still think Porzingis. I'm not ready to write off Porzingis as a terrible basketball player. He
Hmm.
averaged 20 and 11 this year. Honestly, he had a bad playoff series. I understand that he was horrible, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's just time to give up on him. Maybe him and Luca aren't the right fit with each other, but
Hmm.
it doesn't mean that he's a terrible basketball player. And I understand what they were going for with the fit. And the reason I would probably still make the trade to get Tim Hardaway and Porzingis for what they traded.
Hmm.
So I get the deal still. I know people like to criticize it. Knicks fans are like, I've seen them taking a victory lap. I'm like, what are you taking a victory lap for? Who's better in the now? The Dallas Mavericks, and who's better in the future? Right now, it's the Dallas Mavericks. So I still think they win that deal.
One's got Luka Doncic, one doesn't. Let's just put it
Exactly.
that way. But when it comes to success, you're both in the same boat. You got knocked out in the first round. The only difference is the Knicks got knocked out to a guy that probably should be Luka Doncic instead of Trae Young. Looking back on careers, like the Hawks just should have said, "We're going to take Luka. Sorry, no trade. We're just going to take Luka."
They should have, but they were just like, "Oh, we also got Cam Reddish in that deal. Come on,
dude. Cam Reddish is a fucking stud. I love Cam Reddish, but
like, stay healthy.
That's the thing for yet again to pull it back is, and this is like speculatory, but like the Mavericks, you gotta get past the first round to make Luka happy in my mind. Like you said, if you're getting to the Western Conference Finals and then losing, okay, we're making a step in the right direction. My question is this, and this is a little tinfoil hat Ricky, let's say the Nets get bounced in the second round this year, and then they don't win the title next year. If the Nets' little big three is considered a failure, could the Mavericks poach any of the big three from the Nets?
This is supposed to be a snake. So.
I was thinking maybe a James Harden. Would James
Harden
fit next to Luka?
I love James Harden.
Would a Kyrie fit next to Luka, or would it just be KD?
I think Kyrie would be a terrible fit. Not terrible. Okay, talent wins in the end, so none of them are terrible fits. If you had to take one, you're taking Kevin Durant or James Harden. I'm not sure if I love the fit of James Harden.
Because YouTube chat's throwing out DeMar DeRozan. I'm going to give credit to Jake Ramirez was the first to say it. Said DeRozan would be a perfect fit, and then Retro added on, he needs another scorer, but I just don't know about that spacing. We also had others throw out Luka too.
You mean DeMar?
DeMar, that's what I mean. DeMar.
I like DeMar, but depending on the deal you'd have to give him and how much money he wants long term, I'm not quite sure it's worth it for the Mavericks there. Mm-hmm. I know that people want the Mavericks to be better right now, but you need to have a 2 to 3 year vision on this team and where you want it to be in 2 to 3 years contending. Mm-hmm. And I'm not sure DeMar DeRozan helps that or elevates them to become an NBA championship contender. Mm-hmm. If you want to look at I think their option is going to have to be in the trade market. Nobody in this free agency class is going to change them, and unless DeMar's willing to sign a 1-year deal, like a big 1-year $30-some million deal, then I'd do it. But anything longer than 2 years, I'd probably stray away from if I was Mavericks with DeMar. I think you wait till next year where you have the giant free agency class and maybe you can poach somebody there. I'm not giant on him, but I would like the fit of Jared Allen next to Porzingis if they want to put the Twin Towers, basically. Or if you want to get rid of Porzingis and just get John Collins to add another scorer. He's not been wildly consistent in the playoffs, but I think he still has potential. So I'm not quite sure yet what the direction is. They have so many different directions they can go. They just need to get Luka to the 5-year deal and figure everything out after that.
So, crack pipe here. Yet again, this all predicates off of who the Blazers bring in or anything. We talked about Damian Lillard possibly being on the market. Is there a way, not this offseason, but in the future, and would you like the Mavericks to just say, fuck it, we're going to go all in and get a guy like Luka to play next to Luka?
Get Dame to play next to Luka.
I keep saying
Luka. I would love that, but they traded a couple of their picks to New York. They don't really have the young prospects to go.
Future picks down the line, baby. We don't care about those. We're mortgaging all of the future to get Luka a star.
I would love it. I'm just not sure that they have the package that other teams would have to be able to compete and get a deal done.
Are there any guys this offseason? I know I'm probably throwing this on you. Are there any guys this offseason that could help them? Because, you mentioned how Porzingis did not have a great playoffs. You know who did have a pretty good playoffs for them? Tim Hardaway Jr. Nobody thought Tim Hardaway Jr. would be playing out the way they did for him. That's just something where, I look at what THJ did, and I go, they need a better version of that. They need a guy who's a better version of him.
Agreed. It's just tough to find that. Quick options. Obviously Kyle Lowry. I think Kyle Lowry would tremendously help them. Mike Conley even would help them. I'm just not sure on the long-term commitment towards him. And then besides that, Dennis Schroeder. I don't even know if I like that fit though next to Luke, and I don't like committing money long-term to him. Again, people have to remember that I know everybody wants them to win instantly and everybody wants to win right now, but you have to keep a 3 to 4 year window on this team.
Yeah.
And signing a guy like Dennis Schroeder to $20 million for 4 years, 3 years, whatever it's going to be, I don't think is a smart move. Mike Conley or Kyle Lowry, I would target one of those two guys. And if you're going to strike out on them, maybe a Kelly Oubre, a Danny Green, something like that. I'm not quite sure you're going to be able to hit it out of the ballpark in the free agency market. The trade market, if Bradley Beal becomes available somehow, you kind of have to find a way to get that done. Again, I'm not sure they can offer the package that other teams can, which is like when we talk about the Mavericks, is you want to talk about them trading for all these stars.
Because like even their young draft picks of like Josh Green, Tyrell Terry, like they're not high assets.
Like the problem is like, and I know I'm throwing out the Sixers, but if you throw out the Sixers and you get the Mavericks throwing out Josh Green, Tyrell Terry, and Porzingis, and then you get the Sixers throwing out like Tobias, Thibault, Maxey, whoever, or the Celtics throwing out Jaylen Brown. They wouldn't throw Jaylen Brown out for Bradley Beal. I know that. I'm just saying. In general, their package the Mavericks could offer is not going to be able to come close to what the other teams can offer unless they're willing to mortgage their complete future for the now. And I'm not, while I want to win now, I'm not willing to sacrifice everything in the future to win 1 year. I need to have a 3 to 4 year window, plan accordingly, add pieces every single year, and then hopefully have a sustainable project to be able to and build not a dynasty but a contending team year in and year out.
So one of the things I'm going to ask, and this will probably be at the very end, is Russ or Beal, they take their player ops, right? There's not a situation where they pass up on their player ops and then hit free agency to go to a contender if the Wizards aren't
Maybe
winning.
no. Beal's been too loyal. Russ has never going to turn that his player option down. Russ has been, but Beal's been too loyal. I would doubt that he would not take his player option.
So does that mean maybe in like 2023, like yet again, by that time, will it boil over with Luka of like, you haven't done anything, I want out. But if they can get to 2023, like you have an entire free agency, like 2023's free agency class. Obviously LeBron's going wherever Bronny gets drafted. You've got James Harden, John Wall, Westbrook, KD.
At this point, Bronny might be undrafted. So honestly, he's coming off a torn meniscus and he's played one game. So I'm gonna no way to read either way on that kid right now. People need
it's a long way out. It's a long way out. But LeBron is going to play with his son. That's what I'm saying. Bronny will get signed by an NBA team because the handshake agreement will be you get LeBron James along with Bronny James.
I'm not sure. Yeah, but I'm not sure. Like he's also just going to be like he'll just get the current team he's with to sign him. Like he'll just get the Lakers to sign him.
Why? What if
why not?
What if he doesn't want to play for the Lakers?
He's not leaving LA unless he goes. He's not going back to Cleveland either. Like I don't see him. I don't see him leaving.
Bronny and LeBron in Cleveland.
I don't see him leaving LA.
No, he goes to Philly, man. Him and Bronny go to Philly to play with Joe and Ben.
Yeah, I mean,
he wants to win titles with multiple teams, man. Do something, Jordan.
I mean, he had the chance to do that a couple years ago, and he turned us down. I'm sorry, we're done.
Jake's like, I was scorned once, I won't be scorned again.
I won't be scorned again. I'm sorry. We have Joel Embiid, the best player in the NBA this season, so I'm good.
Before we wrap up the show, how are the Sixers doing right now? Live looking after the fact. Okay.
Up to. It's been a scrappy game so far. It's been Bogdanovich doing his thing from deep and the Sixers kind of just scrapping together points.
I forgot what I've got in that game. I know I've got Ben points. That's all I know. That's all I remember.
Great man.
Ben points. It was 13.5. I didn't think that was too bad. Too bad for Ben.
Brave man.
What? You don't think
he's gonna score 8?
You don't think he can get 14?
Let's score 8.
He'll score 2 and then I'll be pissed the rest of the night. But that is going to do it for MVP Sports Live today. Thank you guys for being as great as you always are. Remember, go join the Discord, link down below to the greatest community in the universe. Also, you can go ahead and support us if you want to. patreon.com/MVPvids or become a channel member. Gold members get not only my first prospect video going up tomorrow, a week early before everyone else, you also get Soapy's mock draft now, a week before everyone else does, as that'll post at the end of the week. You can get it right now if you become a channel member, gold, or a gold patron. Also hit that like, that sub button, that comment, that notification bell. Let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Thank you to everyone in YouTube chat. You guys have been great, popping off. We love talking with you guys, bringing you guys into the conversation as we are having it. We'll be back tomorrow. Tomorrow's hosts are, is it you and Soapy or me and Soapy? That's the only thing.
Thanks, man.
Is it you and Soapy? Are you?
I am
I'm looking at it. It is myself and Soapy. So the
nice.
the rest of the week is Soapy and me talking NBA on Tuesday. Jake and Soapy talking NBA on Wednesday. That'll be Sixers draft talk. Also with your boy Jake. Then Jake and Soapy again on Thursday talking Nets draft prospects. And then Friday, Jake and myself will talk about the NFL. There's a couple things that I got circling that if anything else pops up, we'll talk about that too. But thank you guys
I love you
for
too,
being,
Retro.
thank you guys for being as great as you always are. And as always, have a good day, everybody.
Go Sixers.